Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Room of Requirement. This is video 4 in a 10-part series that I am doing on Hermeticism. This one is entitled The Asclepius Explained, Humanity, Sacred Images, and the Fall of Egypt. Let's go ahead and dive in. What if the greatest spiritual danger is not disbelief, but the loss of our ability to experience anything as sacred? A civilization may preserve its temples, scriptures, symbols, and ceremonies, while the presence that once gave them life quietly disappears. The words remain, but they no longer awaken anything. The statues remain, but they become objects. The stars remain above us, but they are reduced to distant matter. Nature remains alive around us, yet we stop recognizing ourselves as participants within it. The Asclepius confronts the possibility that one of the most haunting visions in ancient Hermetic literature. It describes humanity as a great wonder, capable of reaching toward the divine while shaping the material world below. It teaches that the cosmos is alive, that sacred image can become vessels of presence, and that the human being can carry the dangerous responsibility of joining spirit with matter. But it also warns that this relationship can be forgotten. When reverence disappears, the gods withdraw, not necessarily because the heavens have abandoned humanity, but because human consciousness has lost the capacity to receive them. The Asclepius, also called the Perfect Discourse, is one of the central works of philosophical Hermeticism. The original Greek version has been lost, but the text survives substantially through the ancient Latin translation. Portions of the work were also preserved in Coptic among the Nag Hammadi manuscripts, confirming that the discourse circulated in more than one language in textual form. The dialogue is presented as a teaching given by Hermes Trismegistus to his disciple Asclepius. Like the Corpus Hermeticum, it discusses God, the cosmos, humanity, mind, fate, and the spiritual knowledge. But the atmosphere is different. Where Poimandres represents a visionary amount of creation in Corpus Hermeticum, 8 explores inner rebirth, the Asclepius turns our attention towards humanity's function within creation. It asks what an awakened human being is meant to do in the world. Its answer is extraordinary. Humanity exists as the boundary between the divine and material orders. We can contemplate the heavens while shaping the earth. We receive impressions from above and give them form below. Human beings are therefore not merely trapped between spirit and matter. We are the place where they meet. One of the most famous teachings of the Asclepius describes the human being as a great wonder, worthy of reverence and honor. This is not simple praise of the human personality. The text is not declaring that our opinions, appetites, or ambitions are automatically sacred. Humanity is wondrous because it possesses a double nature. We are embodied creatures who share in the needs, limitations, and mortality of animal life. We hunger, age, experience pleasure and pain, and eventually return the body to the elements. Yet we also possess the mind, imagination, memory, symbolic thought, and the ability to contemplate realities beyond immediate physical survival. A human being can look at the stars and recognize order. We can observe desire rather than merely obey it. We can transform raw matter into a temple, sound into prayer, pigment into sacred image, and experience into wisdom. The wonder of humanity is therefore not that we stand above nature. It is that nature has produced a being capable of becoming conscious of the whole. The Asclepius places humanity between the higher divine powers and the lower material world. This position is often interpreted as a sign of human superiority, but it is better understood as a responsibility of mediation. To mediate means to bring two orders into relationship. Humanity looks upward through contemplation, prayer, knowledge, and reverence. We look downward through craft, architecture, medicine, ritual, and the shaping of material conditions. The human being receives pattern and gives its embodiment. This is one reason the Hermetic tradition would later become so important to alchemy and ceremonial magic. The Hermetic practitioner does not treat matter as spiritually empty. Matter can be prepared, ordered, consecrated, and made capable of expressing something greater than its ordinary condition. A temple is stone arranged according to sacred intention. A ritual is movement ordered into meaning. A talisman is matter shaped to embody correspondence. An altar is an ordinary surface removed from ordinary use and made into a point of spiritual relationship. The human being mediates whenever invisible meaning is given visible form. Standing between worlds is not automatically a blessing. It creates the possibility of both elevation and corruption. Because humanity participates in the body, we can become absorbed in appetite, competition, possession, and power. Because we participate in mind, we can rationalize those impulses and create sophisticated systems for pursuing them. The same intelligence capable of recognizing cosmic order can also become the servant of greed. Our unique position, therefore, magnifies whatever governs us. When mind serves wisdom, humanity can care for the world and reveal hidden order through philosophy, healing, craft, and sacred art. When mind serves appetite, humanity can exploit nature more efficiently than any other creature. The Asclepius does not flatter humanity. It gives us a dangerous dignity. We possess extraordinary capacity, but that capacity becomes destructive when separated from reverence. The Asclepius presents the cosmos as a great living being. It is not dead space containing isolated objects. It possesses order, movement, soul, and life. The many forms within it participate in one greater organism. This means that nothing exists entirely by itself. The elements feed bodies, the heavens regulate cycles, living beings emerge, change, reproduce, and return their substance to nature. The cosmos continually gives birth to form while remaining a unified whole. Humanity belongs inside the living system. We are not spectators standing outside creation. Our thoughts, choices, bodies, and works participate in its movement. This perspective changes the spiritual path. Awakening is not simply the private escape of an individual soul. It changes how the person participates in the world. If creation is alive, then exploitation, carelessness, and desecration are not merely practical mistakes. They are failures of relationship. The awakened person does not only ask, how can I transcend this world? They must also ask, how should I live within a world that is itself sacred? Some ancient spiritual traditions are interpreted as treating matter as a prison from which the soul must escape. The Asclepius offers a more complicated picture. Matter is unstable, changing, and subject to death. Embodied life exposes the soul to desire, suffering, and forgetfulness. But material existence is also the field in which divine creativity becomes visible. Without matter, there will be no temple, image, body, voice, music, or act of service. There would be no world in which the hidden could become manifest. The problem is therefore not matter itself. The problem is matter without consciousness, form separated from the intelligence that should guide it. This gives Hermetic practice a distinctive purpose. The practitioner does not simply flee the material condition. They learn to bring it into alignment. The body becomes disciplined, speech becomes truthful, work becomes intentional, material objects become carriers of meaning. The great work is not completed by abandoning form. It is completed when form becomes transparent to spirit. The most controversial teaching in the Asclepius concerns the making of gods. The text describes human beings creating sacred statues into which spiritual powers may be invited. These images are said to be animated through rites, natural substances, celestial sympathy, and spiritual presence. To a modern reader, this may sound like primitive superstition, people believing that statues were literally alive, but this interpretation misses the deeper theory behind the passage. The Hermetic statue is an image of embodiment. Just as the human body becomes the vehicle of the soul, the sacred image becomes a prepared body through which divine presence may operate. The statue is not necessarily worshipped because stone itself is a god. The material form is constructed, consecrated, and placed into relationship with an invisible power. The image becomes a meeting place. This is similar to the principle found throughout ceremonial magic. A physical form can become a vessel for an invisible current when matter, symbol, intention, and sacred relationship are properly joined. A temple is often described merely as a building where religion takes place. The Asclepius suggests something more. A true temple is designed to create the conditions under which divine presence can be encountered. Its architecture, images, proportions, scents, prayers, music, priesthood, and rituals work together. Each element shapes perception and directs consciousness away from ordinary concerns. In this sense, the temple functions as a technology of presence. This doesn't mean that technology in the modern mechanical sense. It means an organized art through which a particular condition is produced. The temple reorganizes space so that the sacred may become perceptible. The same principle appears in high magic. The ritual chamber is not decorated merely to appear mysterious. Symbols, directions, light, sound, gesture, and divine names create a coherent field. They train the mind to perceive beyond its habitual condition. The outer temple teaches the inner consciousness how to become receptive. The teachings of animated statues also reveals the importance of imagination. Modern culture often treats imagination as the opposite of reality, but esoteric traditions understand it as a faculty of mediation. Imagination gives form to what cannot be touched directly. We cannot hold justice, divinity, time, death, or wisdom in the hand, yet we encounter them through symbols, stories, images, and ritual forms. The danger is not imagination itself. The danger is unconscious imagination, symbols governing us without our understanding of them. Sacred images are meant to train imagination deliberately. They give the mind a form through which it may contemplate a reality greater than the image. A statue is therefore neither only stone nor the totality of the God it represents. It's a threshold. Confusing the image with the power becomes idolatry, but refusing all symbolic mediation can leave consciousness unable to approach what has no physical form. The mature practitioner learns to look through the symbol without dismissing it. The most famous section of the Asclepius is often called the Lament of Egypt. Hermes declares that Egypt is an image of heaven, a land in which celestial powers have been brought into earthly form. He then foretells a time when the gods will withdraw, temples will be abandoned, sacred worship will be forgotten, and Egypt's spiritual traditions will survive only as stories and inscriptions. This passage is often interpreted as a prophecy of the decline of the Egyptian religion during the rise of Christianity and the transformation of the late ancient world. It certainly reflects grief over the possible disappearance of the sacred traditions. But the lament can also be read more deeply. It describes the collapse of participatory consciousness. The tragedy is not simply that people stop entering temples. It is that they stop experiencing the cosmos as worthy of reverence. Nature becomes ordinary, ritual becomes meaningless, sacred images become lifeless objects. The world remains physically present, but its interior depth disappears from human awareness. The gods withdraw when humanity can no longer perceive them. The lament presents a warning that applies to every spiritual tradition. A sacred form may remain long after consciousness that created it has vanished. People may repeat prayers without attention, perform ceremonies without presence, display symbols without understanding, and defend doctrines that no longer transform them. The religion continues externally while its inner life recedes. This is a greater danger than persecution because it can occur unnoticed. No enemy needs to destroy the temple when the temple has already become empty inside the minds of its keepers. The Hermetic response is not to preserve forms blindly. It is to restore the relationship between form and presence. A ritual remains alive only when the practitioner understands what it is organizing within consciousness. A symbol remains alive when it opens perception. A tradition remains alive when its knowledge continues to transform the people who carry it. Otherwise, the stones may remain while the gods have already departed. The lament is dark, but it does not end in permanent despair. The Asclepius also speaks of divine restoration. Disorder does not possess the final word. The cosmos belongs ultimately to a higher intelligence capable of renewing what has fallen into corruption. This does not mean human beings can remain passive. Because humanity is the mediator, restoration must also occur through human participation. Whenever a person learns to see nature as alive rather than disposable, something is restored. Whenever ritual is performed with genuine understanding, the connection between form and presence is restored. Whenever knowledge produces reverence instead of superiority, the temple is rebuilt within consciousness. The restoration of the sacred does not begin by reconstructing the past exactly as it was. It begins by recovering the capacity that made sacred civilization possible, the ability to recognize spirit within form. The Asclepius gives high magic one of its deepest foundations. It teaches that the magician is the mediator, not merely an operator. Every serious ritual joins levels of reality. Throughout, our thought becomes word becomes gesture, intention becomes symbol, invisible force is invited into prepared form. The purpose is not to escape matter or dominate it. The purpose is to make matter capable of expressing a higher order. This also explains why preparation matters. A confused consciousness produces confused symbols. An inflated practitioner turns ritual into self-glorification. An undisciplined imagination fills the temple with personal projections. The magician must become what the sacred statue represents, a properly prepared vessel. This is a less glamorous vision of magic, but a more demanding one. The magician's first responsibility is not to attract power. It is to create within themselves a form that power can inhabit without becoming distorted. The Asclepius shifts the focus of spirituality away from private attainment. If humanity mediates between worlds, then awakening creates obligation. Knowledge of the divine must change how we speak, build, teach, heal, create, and care for the world. Otherwise, spiritual realization remains isolated within the individual and never enters form. This is why sacred work includes more than ritual. A teacher gives invisible understanding a language. An artist gives inner vision a body. A healer gives compassion an action. A magician gives correspondence a ceremonial form. Every meaningful human creation participates in mediation. The question is not whether we are shaping the material world. We are always shaping it. The question is what is shaping us while we do so. The Asclepius gives humanity an honor that can easily become a burden. It tells us that we are capable of looking into both worlds, toward the invisible source above us and towards the unfinished matter placed within our hands. We are the beings who build temples and the beings who empty them. We create symbols and forget what they mean. We invite presence into form and then begin worshiping the form after the presence is gone. This is why the lament of Egypt remains so powerful. It is not only mourning the disappearance of the ancient religion, it is mourning the moment when a living cosmos becomes silent within human perception. The stars remain, the earth remains, and the temples may remain, but humanity no longer knows how to listen. The work of the Hermetic practitioner is therefore not to return nostalgically to a vanished age. It is to restore the sacred connection in the present, to make thought worthy of truth, ritual worthy of presence, and the human soul worthy of the forces it seeks to embody. The Asclepius leaves us with a profound responsibility. Spirit may descend into matter, but it requires a vessel. The question is whether we will become conscious participants in that meeting, or whether the sacred will pass through our world unrecognized. In the next video, we will move beyond the visible temple and enter one of the most mysterious initiatory texts of the Hermetic tradition, the Discourse on the 8th and 9th. There, a teacher guides an initiate beyond ordinary thought, beyond the 7 planetary spheres, and into an experience where language begins to fail. We will examine sacred silence, visionary ascent, spiritual transmission, and what may be the clearest surviving evidence that ancient Hermeticism was not simply a philosophy to be studied, but a mystery to be entered. Okay, you guys, that's all I have for you on this one. So next coming up, the 8th and 9th, Nag Hammadi Hermetica. So that is going to be next. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know this one was a little bit long. Hope you guys are really enjoying the series. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.